Tourism is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. Over the past 20 years, nature-based or ecotourism has emerged as a growing tourism sector. With the right approach, tourism can indeed support conservation, and conservation can become a tourist attraction. Cousine and Cousine are neighbouring islands with two very different yet both highly successful approaches to ecotourism. Between them, the islands provide a haven for over 50% of the Seychelles' endemic animal and plant diversity, including tens of species found on the World Conservation Union's global list of threatened species. The Seychelles is an archipelago of over 115 islands and atolls, spread over an area of 1.3 million square kilometers in the Indian Ocean. The outer islands are coralline atolls and include Aldabra and Cosmolido. The inner islands are granitic mountain peaks, remnant of the Gondwanaland supercontinent, and rise dramatically out of the sea. The tropical palm and mist forests found on these islands are prehistoric and home to a diversity of plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth. These include the Aldabra giant tortoise and crocodile tree. The people of the Seychelles are a diverse mix of cultures and features, reflecting a 200-year history of colonization and migration from Europe, Africa and Asia. Cousine and Cousine are two small low-lying islands with granite hillocks shading coastal plateaus. They each cover an area of about 25 hectares and are situated a few kilometers off the northeast shore of Praslin, the second largest of the Seychelles inner islands. Both islands are lush and verdant and much greener than the drier, developed slopes of nearby Praslin Island. Human settlement of the Seychelles from the 1770s pushed many native and endemic species to extinction. The saltwater crocodile disappeared 50 years after colonization. The chestnut-flanked white-eye, discovered in the late 19th century, was gone by the early 20th century. By the late 1960s, both islands had been stripped of almost all their native vegetation. Conversion to cash crops such as coconuts for copra oil and grass for thatch replaced native habitats. Free-ranging livestock and introduced pests such as rats and cats devastated wildlife, from birds to endemic insects and amphibians. The purchase of Cousine Island was a landmark for conservation in the Seychelles and the world.
Long before the arrival of tourism in the Seychelles, some of us have been very conscious for the need for conservation and the preservation of the unique flora and fauna of the Seychelles. But at that time, like many parts of the Seychelles, the island was a domain of the planter, and the coconut was the king of the Seychelles for income. So they had eradicated quite some years ago, like on many outer islands and properties, the endemic flora to make space for the coconut palm. So in the 1967-68, there was an island near Praslin called Cousine, which had a lot of birds, and they had some of the extremely rare birds like the bush warbler, which were very few in number. So some of the people who were involved also got the Royal Society for Bird Conservation involved, and they bought the island of Cousine from the owners who were the family Jumeau.
Cousine Island is a very unique island, and over the last 30 to 35 years, the island has been restored. So the concept of Cousine is actually restoration of tropical islands. And it's not easy to restore something that's vanished, because we don't know what was there really before man came. So the whole concept was let nature take its course. And what BirdLife did and what we did when we took over is we just let the old coconuts fall. We removed small germinating coconuts, and we let the seabirds and the wind bring seeds of native plants, and we stopped any exotic predators like rats or cats from invading the island. That's all we did. And the island is what it is today. It's one of the best restored tropical islands in the whole world. Because it is one of the best restored islands in the world, it has also become a case study. It has become a demonstration site for international programs like the International Center for Reef Restoration. We have the United Nations Environmental Program that has written case studies of Cousine. We have BirdLife itself that has designated Cousine as an important bird area, which is an international designation. And Cousine today is not only being used as a demonstration site in books. Actually, people are coming from all over the world, students, researchers, conservation practitioners, to come and see how we did it and how we're doing it today.
Cousine's natural vegetation rapidly regenerated after the coconut plants were removed, nature healing itself with remarkable speed. The Seychelles warbler population increased steadily from 26 to 320 birds in 1982. There are now more than 3,500 individuals thriving on 4 islands. Its tail is one of the best conservation successes in the world. To secure its long-term survival, Nature Seychelles and BirdLife International transferred some of them to 4 other predator-free islands, including Cousine, to establish new populations.
I'm Janske, I'm a PhD student from Holland. I'm now in my first year and I'm doing research on the Seychelles warblers. I'm examining the stress levels before and after the translocation of the white ice to Cousine. So I'm comparing different individuals, the stress levels, the hormones, we take DNA samples and lots of things.
In addition to the warbler, one of the principal conservation successes and a flagship result for Nature Seychelles and both islands is the recovery of the Seychelles magpie robin.
The robin in 1990, when BirdLife International started the restoration program for it, was probably the rarest bird in the world. There were only 19 individuals left. The habitat of the robin was almost completely destroyed. So we needed other islands for the robin, and the only other island available at that time, which had natural forests and no predators, was Cousine. So robins were transferred to Cousine, and wow, they just took off. Today there are almost 50 individual robins on Cousine Island. We have plans for other islands which we are restoring with private island owners, and this is another success story. We've managed to get private landowners into the conservation fold, and they are actually financing the restoration of their own islands because they want these endemic birds. Many islands, private islands like Cousine, have invested in conservation. They've invested their own money. You look at Cousine, there's very little difference in the biodiversity. It's not a reserve, it's a private island, and it's the private owner who is responsible for what we see there today.
One of the first islands to receive populations of threatened birds was neighboring Cousine. Remarkably, Cousine was never infested with rats, possibly due to the feral cat population, which was removed from the island in the 1990s by BirdLife International. Cousine, like most of the granitic islands, was converted to coconuts for the copra industry. Fortunately, the native hill forest of Cousine, comprised of several species of wild fig, was never cut down, and now gives us a good idea of what natural forests would have looked like on all the islands. Prior to 1992, Cousine's wildlife had been decimated by the large population of feral cats as well as pigs. Humans have of course taken their toll as well. Changes began in 1992 when the island was purchased with conservation in mind, and since 1996 has been the subject of an intensive active restoration program. The genesis is amazing. Today, just 10 years after the first trees were replanted, the island is a vibrant hub of bird and animal life. The more intensive approach of Cousine differed from Cousine's longer-term natural regeneration. However, like neighboring Cousine, the island is prime habitat for nesting seabirds. Hundreds of thousands of terns and shearwater species use Cousine as a safe breeding haven. In order to finance the costs of conservation and restoration work, and to provide a high-end ecotourism model, Cuisine Island developed an exclusive luxury four-wheeler tourism operation in 2000. A maximum of 10 guests pay a premium for unspoiled island privacy in tune with nature. The entire island complement of staff is never more than 15, including 2 full-time conservationists.
Cousine is special because it was bought as a conservation island. It was bought by a man with a passion for conservation and saw the potential when he arrived. Saw the birds. It was totally derelict. There was coconuts everywhere. Cats. We had 164 cats. And so he saw this as a potential to bring it back to its original state. And that's what he set out to do. And it took him 6-7 years with hard work, lots of knuckle grease, and slowly started planting trees. We planted 5,000 trees in the last 12 years. And then in 1999, he thought of if we can bring tourism into it, to then allow itself to pay for itself over time, to be sustainable. And that's the result. 4 villas is the result of that thought. And the reason we've chosen 4 villas is so that we don't impact too much on the environment.
Cousine's guests actively participate in the island's conservation program, assisting in the turtle censuses and monitoring the population of giant tortoises. They discover the conservation issues through guided walks and presentations. Cousine's 4 villas are luxurious, yet well adapted to the island environment and ethos. All visitors' water needs are met by rainwater harvesting. The island has storage capacity for nearly 500,000 litres of rainwater, filtered by solar-powered units attached to each camouflage water tank. 1 week of rain per year is enough to fill the tanks to the brim. More and more of the island's daily needs are met through solar energy.
We chose our holiday on Cuisine Island because we were looking for real relaxation and also be away from a hectic lifestyle in the city and really re-experience nature. What I like best about being in touch with nature is also responsible tourism. It's a good feeling to come to a place where you can really see that nature is still intact and still in balance. Not only to experience for oneself, but also I think it's very important that we protect nature.
A charismatic local species, the Seychelles foddy or tok-tok, has also benefited from translocation. Outcompeted by its Madagascan cousin and attacked by rats on other islands, the tok-tok rules the roost on Cuisine. However, it is the seabird colonies that amaze and delight, filling the air with their myriad calls and the pungent smell of ammonia. Their complete lack of fear is astonishing and provides a low-impact, close-up tourist experience. Cuisine also hosts many other species, such as ghost crabs and hermit crabs, which are very abundant on Cousin, as they can find more share for housing. The crabs will feed on anything from fallen fruit and plant material to dead birds. They provide an important nutrient recycling service to the islands. The giant millipedes are endemic to the Seychelles and are doing well on predator-free islands like Cousine. With green geckos, skinks, and bronze gecko, Cousin has the highest density of lizards. Both islands have some of the most important nesting sites for hawksbill sea turtles, a globally endangered species. Every year, Cousin and Cousine have about 500 visits by these turtles, which often come to nest in broad daylight. One female turtle may lay up to 180 eggs, although only 1 out of 1,000